In the dusty town of Silver Creek, tales of the notorious outlaw known as Black Jack McGraw echoed through the saloons and streets. With his tall, rugged figure and a wide-brimmed hat shadowing his sharp eyes, he was both feared and admired. Black Jack had a reputation that sent shivers down the spines of even the bravest souls. He was known for his quick draw and his daring heists, but there was more to him than just a life of crime. Many townsfolk whispered about how he had once saved a child from a runaway horse, showcasing a flicker of heroism amid his lawless ways. Children were often captivated by his daring exploits, while elders warned them to steer clear of the outlaw's path. Black Jack was a complex figure. He stirred up excitement in an otherwise mundane town, shining like a dark star against the vast, quiet sky. Glimpses of admiration often intertwined with fear. Some sought to emulate his boldness, while others felt uneasy at the thought of crossing paths with him. On weekends, when local gamblers would share tales over drinks, Black Jack's name would inevitably come up, sparking laughter and gasps from the crowd. Little did they know that this very outlaw, who inspired both awe and dread, was headed toward an encounter that would forever change the fate of Silver Creek. A confrontation loomed, one that would shatter the peace of that quiet town and ignite a tale that would be told for generations. The tension in Silver Creek reached a boiling point as whispers of Black Jack's latest heist spread like wildfire. He had robbed the town's bank just days before, escaping with a small fortune and leaving the townsfolk rattled in his wake. It was no longer just a battle of wits. Lives were at stake. The lawman, Sheriff Tom Grayson, had vowed to bring Black Jack to justice. Known for his unwavering sense of duty and keen instincts, Sheriff Grayson was determined to restore peace to the town. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the streets, Grayson gathered a posse of local men, fueled by anger and fear. They prepared to hunt down the outlaw and reclaim their town's honor. The sheriff felt a mix of urgency and dread as he considered the risks that lay ahead. He knew that confronting Black Jack would not only put his life in danger but also the lives of his friends and neighbors. In the days leading up to the showdown, both men seemed to sense their fates drawing closer. Black Jack lounged in the saloon, nursing whiskey while listening to the rumors swarming around him, a smirk on his lips. Meanwhile, Grayson studied maps and familiar hunting grounds, ever aware that this encounter could end in bloodshed. The night sky darkened, and an inevitable clash loomed over Silver Creek, threatening to change its destiny forever. The moon hung high in the midnight sky, casting a silver glow over the deserted streets of Silver Creek. Shadows danced along the wooden buildings, creating an eerie atmosphere as Sheriff Grayson and his posse approached the saloon where Black Jack was rumored to be hiding. Tension charged the air like a brewing storm, and every man could feel their hearts pounding in anticipation of what was to come. As they entered the dimly lit saloon, the sound of laughter and clinking glasses suddenly stopped. Everyone turned to watch the showdown unfold. Black Jack sat at a table in the corner, relaxed yet alert. His piercing gaze met Grayson's, igniting a fierce fire in both men's eyes. The sheriff stepped forward, his voice steady but laced with urgency. "This ends tonight, Black Jack." The outlaw smirked and slowly stood up, revealing his arsenal of weapons. "You think you can take me down, Sheriff?" His voice dripped with arrogance, but beneath it lay a hint of nervousness. As they faced each other, time seemed to stand still. Hands hovered near holstered guns, and breaths quickened. Outside, townsfolk gathered at a distance, whispering prayers and holding their breath as they watched the scene unfold through the saloon windows. Fear mingled with hope. Everyone sensed the danger, but also understood that this confrontation would decide the fate of Silver Creek. With adrenaline pumping, Grayson took a deep breath and stood his ground, ready for whatever awaited him. The night darkened further as the stage was set for a violent conclusion that would echo through the town for years to come. The standoff reached a breaking point, and in a split second, the tension snapped. Sheriff Grayson's instincts kicked in as he saw Black Jack's hand twitch toward his gun. Without hesitation, the sheriff drew his weapon, the sound of the gunshot echoing through the saloon like thunder. The bullet struck Black Jack squarely in the chest, and his eyes widened in shock before he crumpled to the ground, lifeless. Gasps filled the saloon as silence fell over the crowd. The laughter and chatter that had previously filled the air were replaced by a chilling stillness. Grayson stood frozen, his heart racing as he processed what had just happened. The reality of taking a man's life weighed heavily on him. He had come to restore order, yet this was not the victory he had envisioned. Outside, townsfolk watched in horror through the windows, their faces pale with disbelief. Some turned away, unable to witness the brutal end of their complicated outlaw. Others stood rooted to the spot, grappling with a mix of fear and relief that Black Jack was finally gone. As Grayson holstered his gun, he felt both triumph and sorrow. He had fulfilled his duty as sheriff, but at a great cost. The sound of footsteps echoed as members of his posse entered the saloon, their expressions a mix of admiration for their leader and pity for the outlaw now sprawled on the floor. In that moment of chilling finality, Silver Creek was forever changed, a town marked by both loss and an uneasy sense of justice. As the dawn broke over Silver Creek, a soft whinny echoed through the stillness, piercing the silence left by the previous night's events. Standing at the edge of town, with its mane blowing gently in the morning breeze, was Black Jack's loyal horse, a striking black stallion named Shadow. The horse had been more than just a means of transportation. He had been Black Jack's steadfast companion through thick and thin. Shadow had always sensed his rider's moods, responding to Black Jack's commands with an unwavering trust that only developed through years of shared adventures. Together, they traversed the rugged landscape, robbing trains and escaping lawmen, a duo feared and respected across the region. The bond between them was palpable, built on loyalty and mutual understanding that went deeper than words. Now, as sunlight painted the sky in hues of orange and gold, Shadow stood alone, an embodiment of loss and faithfulness. He trotted slowly toward the saloon where his master had met his fate. Townsfolk emerged from their homes to witness the sight, an outlaw's horse returning without him, evoking both sympathy and sorrow. Children watched in awe while adults shared whispers about what this might mean. To them, Shadow wasn't just a horse. He symbolized loyalty that defied death itself. In that quiet moment, it became clear. Even though Black Jack was gone, his spirit lived on in Shadow's resilient heart, a reminder of their unbreakable bond amidst the chaos that engulfed Silver Creek. As the first light of dawn illuminated the town, Shadow trotted into Silver Creek, his hooves echoing against the cobblestone streets. Townsfolk, just beginning their daily routines, paused in disbelief at the sight of Black Jack's horse without its rider. A sense of shock rippled through the crowd, and whispers quickly spread like wildfire. "Where is Black Jack?" some wondered aloud, their eyes wide as they took in the lonely figure. Shadow's mane flowed gently in the morning breeze, but his dark eyes looked lost and forlorn. He seemed to instinctively know where to go, leading him straight toward the saloon where the deadly confrontation had occurred. The horse's return was more than just a spectacle. It was a haunting reminder of what had happened just hours before. Children, wide-eyed with curiosity, followed closely behind as their parents stood frozen in place, grappling with a mix of confusion and sorrow. Some thought to approach the horse, hoping to comfort him, while others merely watched from a distance, unsure of how to react. Shadow nickered softly, his ears flicking back and forth as if searching for his master's familiar presence. The air felt heavy with unspoken feelings, loss, loyalty, and the weight of unfulfilled stories. In that quiet moment, it became clear that Shadow represented more than just a horse. He embodied the heartache of a town grappling with the brutal reality of life and death. The townsfolk could only wonder about Black Jack's fate and feel the deep void left behind by his absence as they contemplated what lay ahead for Silver Creek. As word spread through Silver Creek about Black Jack's fate and Shadow's solitary return, the townsfolk reacted in a flurry of emotions. Fear gripped some as they recalled the outlaw's daring escapades. They worried that his violent legacy might linger, casting a shadow over their lives. "What if he has friends out there? What if they come for revenge?" whispered one man, glancing nervously at his neighbors. Meanwhile, others felt a deep sympathy for Shadow, recognizing the horse's loss as a reflection of their own grief. "Look at him," said an elderly woman with tears in her eyes. "He's searching for his master." Children approached cautiously, reaching out tentatively to pat Shadow's neck, their innocent hearts unable to comprehend the weight of the situation. Gossip swirled like dust in the air, with groups huddling together on street corners to exchange stories. They speculated about the showdown, debating whether Grayson had acted too hastily or if it was a necessary act of justice. "They say Black Jack was different, that he had a heart," murmured one young man. "Maybe he didn't have to die like that." As conversations flowed, an uneasy tension loomed over Silver Creek. The townspeople were caught between admiration for the outlaw and relief at his end, unsure how to reconcile these conflicting feelings. The presence of Shadow became a catalyst for reflection, forcing them to confront not only their fears but also their hopes for a future free from violence. A future that now felt uncertain in the wake of recent events. In the days following the gunfight, a palpable curiosity gripped Silver Creek as townsfolk sought to understand the circumstances surrounding Black Jack's death. Small groups formed on street corners, exchanging snippets of information, piecing together the events that led to that fateful night. Some were eager to investigate Sheriff Grayson's actions, questioning whether he had acted justly or if the outlaw could have lived had different choices been made. "It was a cold-blooded act," argued one woman, her voice tinged with defiance. "He didn't even give Jack a chance." Others countered, reminding her of Black Jack's dubious reputation and past crimes. The debate raged on, with opinions sharply divided, reflecting the complexity of their feelings for the outlaw. Meanwhile, some residents took quieter paths in their search for answers. They began to reflect on Black Jack's life and choices, recalling tales of his heroism intertwined with his lawless deeds. An elderly man shared stories of how Black Jack had once saved his horse from being stolen and how he had always helped those in need when no one else would. "He wasn't all bad," he said softly, prompting nods from those who remembered similar moments. As memories surfaced, unity began to form among some townsfolk, a collective recognition of Black Jack's humanity in contrast to the fear he'd inspired. People found themselves grappling not just with his death but with what it meant for their own lives moving forward. In their search for understanding, they unearthed questions about morality and justice that would linger long after the dust settled in Silver Creek. As time passed in Silver Creek, the story of Jake, Black Jack, McGraw, and his loyal horse Shadow transformed into a local legend. The chilling events of that night faded into the backdrop of the town's history, but the tales began to take on a life of their own. Children grew up hearing stories from their elders, how Black Jack was not just an outlaw, but a daring hero who once saved a family from bandits or helped those in need in times of desperation. Shadow became a symbol in these retellings, too. His unwavering loyalty and poignant return captured the hearts of many. People claimed there were moments when visitors would see the ghostly figure of Shadow wandering through the streets at dawn, searching for his lost master. This mystical element added a layer of reverence to his tale, blending fact with folklore that enthralled both locals and travelers alike. The saloon where the showdown had taken place became a gathering spot for storytelling. Townsfolk would boast about tales where Black Jack outsmarted lawmen or shared examples of his kindness to others. Newcomers were welcomed with eager ears as residents explained who Black Jack was. More than just an outlaw, he was part of the town's spirit. As generations came and went, the duo was immortalized in songs and folk art. Statues of Shadow were erected near the town square as a reminder of loyalty and sacrifice. The legacy of Black Jack McGraw evolved beyond fear. He became etched into the very soul of Silver Creek, emblematic of humanity's struggle between good and evil, a testament to how one man's life could become woven into the fabric of a community's identity. As the legend of Black Jack and Shadow settled into the hearts of Silver Creek, it stirred reflections on loyalty and sacrifice that transcended boundaries of life and death. Shadow's unwavering devotion to his fallen master served as a powerful reminder that love and loyalty often shine brightest in the darkest times. While humans grapple with their complexities, choices made in anger, fear, or desperation, animals like Shadow display a remarkable capacity for unconditional love, embodying virtues that many strive to achieve. In this tale, Black Jack's story became a mirror reflecting the human experience. A blend of heroism and flaw, sacrifice and regret. Yet amidst it all, it was Shadow who stood tall in the face of loss, wandering back into town without his master, nickered softly for him as if hoping to bring him back. This poignant return resonated deeply within the community, evoking not just sympathy but also admiration for the bond shared between them. Through this narrative, townsfolk learned that sometimes it is the quiet acts of loyalty, seen in an animal's devotion, that carry profound lessons. In celebrating these moments and acknowledging both good and evil within themselves, they found a path toward forgiveness and understanding. The heartaches surrounding Black Jack's legacy transformed into hope for future generations. A reminder that love can endure beyond circumstance and that even in grief, the spirit of loyalty can stand resolute. So, as stories continued to be told around campfires and in cozy homes of Silver Creek, one truth remained clear. Sometimes it is amidst loss that we discover the greatest displays of heart and character.